Hey everyone. Oh, hang on. Put this up here and you might hear me better. That's better. Hello everyone. How is your reading going? I've been slightly missing in action because someone gave me shingles. No, that doesn't happen. You don't catch shingles. You catch chickenpox. And the chickenpox virus, once you're over the chickenpox, it stays in your body until such time as you're run down or your immune system is totally suppressed, not depressed. And then you end up with shingles. I do not recommend it. 0 out of 10. So I have not had a lot of energy. So sitting in front of my computer to write my blog has been a challenge. Sitting here to do a piece to camera for you has been an even bigger challenge. So I've been focusing on the absolute necessary stuff. So I'm doing this video a day late, which means I will schedule it for Thursday of next week. So as of today, I've had shingles for about 4 weeks. So 4 weeks in bed. What can I do in bed? Oh, let's see. I can read. Oh dear. So in the past 4 weeks, I have read a few books. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hang on. Not finished yet. 7, 8, 9, 10. Getting there. 11, 12, 13. If you know that I'm a fast reader, you'll realise that that's not anywhere near enough books. And you're right. There's 2 reasons for that. The first is in the first 2.5, 3 weeks, I slept a lot. I would go to lie down and read a book and fall asleep, or I would. The other reason, so don't finish my sentence, but the other reason is that I didn't read as much, is that I took my laptop into bed with me, and I lay there and I watched so many countless YouTube videos. I have caught up with a lot of stuff, and I also watched a lot of programs on SBS On Demand. I found on SBS On Demand a lovely, it's a beautifully produced program called Bones and Crows, and it's about the produced in Canada, set in Canada, and it's about their First Nations people and how badly they were treated by the government, by the word is not coming to me, by the government, by the church. And it's a similar story to what happened in America and what has happened here in Australia and probably other colonial countries. So it is beautifully done, though. I absolutely loved the lead characters. I thought they were wonderfully played. I thought they were fabulous people, strong, resilient, and there should be another word. I've lost it. If you can handle that kind of thing, because it doesn't beat around the bush. It sort of shows it in all its, I was going to say glory, but that's the opposite word. It doesn't beat around the bush. It is a really good program. The other thing I found, which I haven't finished yet because they haven't finished putting up all the episodes, is King and Conqueror. It's the power struggle leading up to the Battle of Hastings, I think in 1066. And it is beautiful. I do not know how good the history is. I have no idea. I cannot tell you if it's historically accurate or not. But it looks good. The shoes they're wearing are not shoes that I would wear today. They do not look at all modern in any way, shape or form. They look like just foot wrappings, which could be correct. I don't know. There seems to be a bit more silverware for eating food than I would have expected, but I'm mostly looking at the kings and the earls and the princes. I'm not looking at the commoner. So maybe the commoner would have more wood, because wood you can carve and you can make things. You can take a piece of wood and have a spoon in a very short space of time. And the wood can be anywhere, so it's much better for the commoner, for the peasants, the serfdom, one of the 90%. What else have I found? Last night I started watching Super Mario Brothers, a movie. It's a live action, and it's not a new movie. It's an old one. It's got Bob Hoskins as Mario, and the guy who plays Luigi is so cute. I've seen him before in ER. He played a not very nice doctor, quite competent, but not necessarily very nice. And here he's playing Luigi. I don't know, you probably know more about Super Mario than I do. I'm enjoying that movie. I will get back to it in the next few days, because I've got a few things I need to try and struggle through over the next couple of days, and then I will go back to bed. As I just finished a book a half an hour or so ago, I'm going to have to find another book from my to-be-read pile, which is... Oh, it's such a challenge. There's nothing there. There's only 3 shelves full of books, double stacked. It's like, yeah, so what I've been doing is actually going to the back of the stack and looking behind, because I've read a lot of the books from the front. Like, I've read I'll Never Forget by the Monash Writers Group. I joined these people a while back. More about that in the future. Now, where can I put these? I've read Nao Marsh, False Scent. Really good. Really, really good. I do like a good Nao Marsh. My feeling is that she's actually better than Agatha Christie. I don't think she wrote as much. I didn't write this. I read A Rose for Anzac Boys. I'm missing a word. A Rose for the Anzac Boys by Jackie French. Super duper beautifully done. I really, if it wasn't for the subject matter, the First World War, I would have really enjoyed this book. Loved the writing. That was all on the front and the back. I've lost track. I read Last Among Equals by Peter J. Alden. I think I must have read this earlier on when I was sleeping a lot more, because I don't remember very much, but I'll have to dip back into it and see what I remember. If you can see that, I have made one note. I struggled to put that one down to write a note. I will show you Far Horizons by A.J. Gordon. That is the 3rd book in, so far, the trilogy that starts with Iconic by A.J. Gordon and Peter J. Alden. I don't have the other book in the series. So the first book is Iconic, where they write a book together, alternating chapters, and the next 2 books, Far Horizons and something else, one by A.J. Gordon and the other one by Pete Alden, and they basically take their characters off on a different way, away from each other. So we get Quaestor. That's it. Quaestor. Now it's actually listed as The Outer Reaches book 2. So this is The Outer Reaches book 3. And we get to follow my favourite character, Sabria. And let's see, these two. Now, I finished this one, Days Like These, by Christian Anderson and Rachel Anderson, husband and wife duo, about half an hour or so ago. Struggled to put it down, so many tears. A few days ago I read What Cancer Said and What I Said Back, by Kelly Nissen. I do not remember where I got this from. When I go to write something about it, I will have to look up and see if I got it from the Book Fair Australia or if I got it somewhere else. Oh no, hang on. On the back, that's an auction number. I would have won this at an auction last year. I think last year. Might have been a bit hard, a bit earlier than that. Now, both of these are hard books to read because they're both about cancer. Kelly manages to come through cancer, and the others come through, and she's, I'm sure I bought this from her recently. Christian Anderson did not. So, but he is an inspirational. He is an inspirational character. There was a medicine that he was taking at one point to get rid of the cancer, which was costing him $2,000 a week. And he campaigned the government to put it on the PBS so that before he died, some months before he died, people were able to get that medicine for $35.42 or something a week, thus saving people thousands and thousands of dollars and saving lives, because if you can't afford $2,000 a week, then you're going to die much sooner. Now, sadly, he did not come to the end of his life late. He came to it very early. I don't know if I should actually talk about them any more than that. Okay, what have we got? Chuck Mackenzie. Here we go. Time Spent with a Cat. I laughed at this. I, again, made absolutely zero notes. I bought this from him at Oz Comic Con this year. I just wanted, when I go to my to be read pile, which is over there, as I'm just waving at it, to find a book, I'm very judgmental. Any other time I do not look at the cover, but when I'm looking for a book on my to be read pile, it's like, yeah, what draws me today? Or what draws me this evening, because I've finished my other book today. And that was why I picked this up. Hysterical stuff. With a talking cat. Yeah. Okay. My computer is just turned itself on, and there we go. That way it can't can't see what's there. Anyway, I'll ignore that. Now, while I am showing you hard books to read, I picked that up. It's The Musicians of Auschwitz by Fania Fenelon. Really, really hard. I made a number of notes. One of them is that Fania was actually not far from Anne Frank, in a tent not far from Anne Frank, just before Anne Frank died. And if you haven't heard of Anne Frank, well, she was in hiding in Amsterdam. I've been in her house where she was hiding. Such a small spot. And she was there with her sister and her parents, and one or two other people, and then someone dobbed them in. And so she made it almost to the end, almost to Liberation Day, but not quite. And so it's really interesting to see that on page 231, Fania Fenelon mentions that Anne Frank was not that far away from her. I was later to learn that a few yards from me, Anne Frank was lying under this same canvas. So, in the same tent. Very hard. Got to give this back to my mum. But also very uplifting in a way. Because Fania Fenelon did the best she could to keep herself alive and to keep all the other musicians alive and to just make the best of things. Oh yeah, this last one I want to make mention of because it's absolutely astounded me. So they were meant to be shot at 3 p.m. But the British arrived at 11 a.m. 4 hours before they were to be shot. So if the British had not arrived on the 15th of April 1945, then I would not have read this book. Okay. Australian author. I've got a few Australian authors here. This one's Australian. Unpolished Gem, Alice Pung. It's the story of growing up with refugee parents. So she was born here, but her parents came from, I think it's Cambodia, got to China, and then ended up coming here just in time for Alice to be born here. And she talks about how hard it would have been, it was growing up for her as the eldest, as the supposedly responsible one. It's beautiful writing. I mean, I loved some of her sentences. I loved her phrasing, her metaphors. Good stuff. Beautifully written. One day I hope to actually meet her and say, "You done good, ma'am." Okay. So while I was at Oz Comic Con, there was a lady, Ash Oldfield, and I picked up a number of her books, three that are in the same series. The Davies, are they the same series or are they two different ones? I think they're the same series. Anyway, love them. I've picked up one more book by her, which is actually Irish fairy tales, I think, which would explain some of these books. But I didn't want to read that first. I wanted to go straight into the writing. I wanted to see what it was about and how good she was. And of course, I read these two out of order because I didn't even look to see which came first. It doesn't actually matter because it was lovely to read the first book second and then go and make the connections between what was happening in the first book. And this one is set partly in the real world and partly in somewhere else. You have fallen between the other world. Okay. The only remaining connection between the other world and Earth is the crossing to Anwen, where the souls of the dead go to rest. Right. Politics, magic, people I'd love to meet in real life. I always get a little bit annoyed when you've got these characters in a book which are so fantastic, who are so fantastic, excuse me, and I'm never going to meet them because they're not real. Of course, some of them I'm never going to meet because it's long past their time, but just ignore that. So that is a brief overview of the 13 books I've read. So today is Thursday. Tuesday night, I can't remember how many I wrote in my blog. It was 11 or 12. Really don't remember. Now it's 13. I have no idea what book I'm going to pick up next. I have not been to my to-be-read pile since yesterday. And probably I will just go and look at the back and find out what gems I've got there. I have some old stuff, old as in classics, which I don't know that I'm in the right frame of mind. Classics I find really, really hard to read. Count of Monte Cristo was a bit of a challenge for me. And I could not have read that without the help of a fellow blogger. So, having managed to not spend 22 minutes rambling and whinging about Shingles, by the way, do not recommend. 0 out of 10, do not recommend Shingles. If you're old enough, if you're old enough to get the jab, the Shingrix jab, I object to that name, the shingles vaccine, I do recommend you try and get that. I thought about it earlier this year, and I have huge regrets that I did not. Huge. The exhaustion. I've actually lost several kilos because I've been so tired I couldn't eat more than 2 or 3 mouthfuls. And that was only to make certain I took any medication I needed to take. Because I still have to keep up with all my normal medication. I can't just say, yeah, okay, I'm going to bed for 3 days. I still have to get up, take my tablets, put on any hormones that I'm taking at the moment, use any swear words I choose to use, and then I go back to bed. I have had a number of times where I've been lying there, arms akimbo, watching some stuff on SBS On Demand or YouTube or whatever, waiting for the hormones to dry, because I'm using a gel. I'm not sure a gel is the right thing for me, but it's all I have at the moment. So anyway, yeah, so the bonuses of being so sick is lots of books. I was able to rejig my to-be-read pile from, instead of being on 4 shelves, I got it from down to 3. 3. It's going to be less than, it's going to be nice gaps in it by the time I get well. But that could be another couple of weeks. People say 2 months, and it's only been 4 weeks. So I'll wait and see. I did have someone tell me that their grandmother took 2 years. But this was during the war, when food was rationed, and she was giving her food to the kids as much as she could. So that would not have helped. So 2 bonuses. 1, I get to read lots, and 2, I've lost some weight. But I did lose it far too fast. 4 or 5 kilos in about 4 weeks is too fast. I'm not so exhausted now, so I got my appetite back a little bit. I'm still eating small meals, but I don't think I'll lose any more weight until I'm better, and then I can make a choice to diet a bit more. I'm actually not that far off my goal, my target weight. So I have to see my doctor and talk to him about it. I need to ask him about my blood pressure. Do I have blood pressure? I do not know until I ask him. You know, I have rambled for another 5 minutes. It is almost 25 minutes. I am going to stop rambling. You have heard me whinge about Shingles. You have not heard me whinge about the pain or the itches or the fact that I have vast swathes of the left side of my torso, front and back. It's numb. The rash, that's where the rash is, but the numbness is like covers twice as much area as the rash, and it's numb, and it's very irritating. So when I go and touch it, I can feel it with my fingers. I can't feel it on my side. Advice: if you get it, you need to get to the doctor within, I can't remember, I think it's 72 hours of the rash starting, so you can have the antivirals. Everyone says, don't scratch the rash. Why not? Because you don't want an infection on top of everything else. So I've tried very hard not to scratch the rash, but I would have liked some advice on how to deal with it. Earlier this week I did ask the chemist, and he gave me something called Solicite, which I don't have in front of me, so I can't show it to you. And on putting it on, so I put a bit of Solicite on the rash, and it hurts like billy-o. So bad. And then as it settles down, then the pain starts to go. What I found worked well for me was actually an ice pack. I do not know, I have not asked anyone with medical knowledge better than mine if an ice pack works, or if it's good for it or bad for it, but it helps the pain, so I don't need painkillers. It helps the itches and the discomfort. So, again, if you've got shingles, if you get shingles, talk to your doctor about that one, because I have not bothered to ask anyone. So, on that note, bye-bye. Subscribe or not down below as you wish, and I'll see you on the flip side. Bye.